Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, February 22nd, 2019. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by Jonah Booker for his usual Friday visit. JBook, Buckeyes got, I don't even want to say it's bad news. I think that it was Ohio State's call, but yesterday running back Darvon Hubbard, he decommitted from Ohio State. It sounds like it was because Ohio State wanted him to decommit, but you know, Hubbard decommitted. We'll talk about maybe some of the 2020 kids that at the running back position that Ohio State might land. But just your thoughts on Hubbard. He's a kid from your neck of the woods there in Arizona. Your thoughts on Hubbard decommitting from Ohio State?
Yeah, it's really not a surprising. If you followed Ohio State recruiting over the last several weeks, all indications were that this was an inevitable decommitment here. Once news broke, and I know Bill Kurlick on the board in his article said that when Ohio State was out to Scottsdale to visit Jack Miller for spring evaluations, they didn't even talk to Hubbard. So that right there was a telltale sign that they was hoping that he would look around. Obviously, he's a kid that really didn't elevate his game to the next level that Ohio State was looking for. So at this point in time, Ohio State feels pretty good about some of the other guys that they're targeting. But you wish this kid nothing but the best. Hope he finds a place that fits him with the staff changes and the direction of what they're looking at as far as the running back position. They just felt like it was best that they part ways.
Yeah, let's get into the running backs they might land in the 2020 class. They want to sign two, it looks like, from all indications, and from everything we're hearing from sources, including our own Bill Kurlick, as you mentioned, and Bill Green, and everybody else at Bucknuts, Steve Wiltfong for 24/7 Sports National Recruiting Director. It sounds like they want to land two running backs in this class, and that makes a lot of sense. As you look at this 2020 class, kind of break it down, like who are some running backs who not only you would like to see them land, I mean, like who are some running backs you think are legitimate possibilities for the Buckeyes to land in that 2020 class?
Yeah, there's a couple guys that they're really targeting. The one that really stands out right now, which could probably be an imminent commitment, is DeMonte Trayanum out of Akron, Ohio. I know he's listed on 24/7 as an outside linebacker, but it's been said that Ohio State's recruiting him as a running back. I don't know if he's that prime-time player that you're looking for out of that running back position. He's a four-star guy. I like him at the outside linebacker spot. He's supposed to be rumored to be committing, making his commitment fairly soon here, trying to get the process over with. So if they are looking at him as a running back, that's one guy to keep a mind on. Obviously, they're going to swing for the fence for the five-star West Coast guys and keeping it in Arizona with Bijan Robinson out of Tucson. He is a home run hitter. Recently, a crystal ball for Ohio State popped up on 24/7. I know there were pictures surfacing recently that he was at a recent 7-on-7 camp sporting Ohio State gloves. There's a lot of momentum starting to build here with Robinson, who's also teammates with safety Lathan Ransom, who's headed to Ohio State this weekend for his unofficial visit. And if you follow social media, the people that are connected to him, supposedly Ransom dream school is Ohio State, and family members are pushing for the Buckeyes there. So if Ohio State's able to land Lathan Ransom at the safety position, trying to recruit Bijan Robinson is a no-brainer, and Ohio State has a legitimate shot there. And then just swinging for the fences once again, you have to mention Kendall Milton. I think he's a long shot West Coast California guy. Obviously, there are ties to Ohio there. He has family in the Midwest in Ohio. He's going to be making a visit to the Buckeyes. So never count out your horses whenever there's some form of connection with Midwest. But I look at him as more of a long shot. And then going down south in southern Ohio, a name to keep in the back of your mind is Thailand Parker out of Portsmouth, Ohio. He's a very under-the-radar guy. I mean, you talk about the kid doesn't even have a 24/7 recruiting page up, but Ohio State is pretty heavily involved with him. He's a kid that out of Portsmouth smaller school that rushed for 2,500 yards last year, 29 touchdowns, and recently Ohio State has asked for his transcripts. He visited the Buckeyes for the Michigan game. He's heading up there again soon. Probably this is his third or fourth visit with Ohio State, so they're very interesting in him. So the one thing with Thailand Parker, though, is he's so far under the radar. Schools aren't aware of him. He does, like I say, he doesn't have a page. Ohio State actually found him through a huddle video. He needs to get out to camps. I think this kid has the potential to really be a baller, but he has to get exposure for himself. I know people close to him said that he's heading up to the Nike camp coming up in March, probably going to the Rivals camp down in Cincinnati. So I think Ohio State would prefer that he stays under the radar, but for the sake of his own recruitment, he really needs to get maximal exposure here. He's really far behind when it comes to kids in the 2020 class who are getting offers and getting looks. His high school coach and those close to him definitely need to get his name out there. So that's someone to keep in mind on. But I'm not worried about Ohio State when it comes to the running back position. They're going to find talent no matter what. And I could see them swinging for the fences with the national five-star guys, and also if they have room late in the class, trying to sign some local in-state guys who they think has the potential to really contribute to this football team.
That was a great breakdown, but let me ask you one question. What do you think you know about anybody from Portsmouth, Ohio?
Well, those are my neck of the woods. I'm from there, and so I follow this kid quite a bit here. So just from my personal knowledge, I think Thailand Parker is probably one of the best running backs to come out of Southern Ohio in years. And if you listen to what Ohio State's saying, they're telling him, hands down, they think he is one of the top running backs in the state of Ohio. Obviously, his name is not out there. Like I said, he has to get maximal exposure right now. He's very far behind in the recruiting process, but the kid is an ultra-talented football player. I wouldn't be surprised if he pushes for Mr. Football in the state of Ohio come next year. He's a guy that could run for 3,000 yards next year. Think about that. And obviously the competition is not the best in Southern Ohio, but when you look at talent, you want to see a kid that's going to dominate the competition regardless of who they're playing against, and that's something that he does. He flat out dominates, and he really going to have to show his stuff at the Nike camp. I also think that he's going to be a camp kid that's going to need a camp at Ohio State, but they're very interested in him. With the coaching change, they're still having a lot of contact with him, even from Coach Meyer to Ryan Day. So it's just a name to keep in mind on. Obviously, Ohio State is going to put out a lot of fillers and interesting guys, but I think he is a major talent that definitely needs to get that exposure.
I love it. Yeah, for those that don't know, Jonah Booker, went to Portsmouth, played, was a star high school football player there, played at Ohio University. So I had to throw that out there. JBook is from Portsmouth. What's funny, I don't know, I think I've told you this maybe once or twice. I don't know if you remember, but my wife's entire family is from the Portsmouth area. In fact, she was born in Portsmouth before moving to the Dayton area when she was like 3 years old or something like that. So my mother-in-law and father-in-law are both from Portsmouth. So we got JBook from Portsmouth. Might have a future Ohio State running back from Portsmouth. So a lot of Portsmouth love here on the Bucknuts Morning 5 today. But hey, before I let you go, my man, what's crazy is spring ball kicks off a week from Monday, March 4th. It's even crazy talking about March is next week. But yeah, a week from Monday, March 4th, Ohio State kicks off spring ball. Kind of an interesting schedule, nothing new. They've done this since Urban Meyer arrived pretty much, and now Ryan Day is doing the same thing where they practice for a couple weeks, take a week off for spring break, come back and practice for the remainder of spring. The spring game will be April 13th, but Kicking off spring ball a week from Monday, offensively or defensively, just, what are one or two things you're really looking forward to see, JBook?
Obviously, all eyes are going to be on Justin Fields, the quarterback, just to see what he's going to look like in this Ohio State offense. I'm very interested to see what Matty Baldwin's going to do. Everybody's saying the kid is a major talent with his tremendous arm and accuracy and his poise. I want to see how both of those guys at the quarterback position. And the name that I want to see really take the next step is Jalen Harris at the wide receiver position. I know Stanley Jackson a couple of weeks ago said that when he went to practice, there were times where Harris really flashed and looked like he's one of the best wide receivers on the team. Now think about that. You have three guys that just left to go to the NFL that's going to be drafted, and you have another crop of guys next year that's going to be drafted. And there were flashes that they believed that Jalen Harris was just as good or better than those guys. So he needs to really take that game to the next level. Consistency is going to be his key. I know a lot of Ohio State fans are going to be all eyes on the offensive line when it comes to stud. He needs to have a big year. He really needs to bring those guys along. And then just on the defense, there's so many new pieces on that side of the football when it comes to the coaches. So just seeing what the overall defense is going to look like, anything is going to be better than what we saw last year. The linebackers absolutely need to play better. I have tremendous confidence in Al Washington that he's going to get those guys squared away. And I'm very excited what Hackley's going to do with the defensive backs as far as changing up their technique. One thing they're going to be doing different is they're not going to be in man coverage 100% of the time. Ohio State's going to trend back to that pattern matching type of coverage that you saw with Chris Ash when he was here. So that's going to allow the defensive backs to get their heads around and actually find the football. So getting those young guys like a Tyreek Johnson and the safety from Oklahoma, Proctor, getting those guys in the rotation is going to be big because you need to be able to hit on those high out-of-state 4- and 5-star prospects. And Damon Arnett, that's a name that I'm going to be watching because he really struggled finding the football, pass interference, and holding penalties, and just getting burnt several times in crucial moments. So I think the addition of Hafley is going to be huge for his game because you can never have enough cover corners there. If they can elevate him and just get him to calm down, clean up his techniques, find the football. There was many a times where he was in good position, but he got a little handsy or he never knew where the ball was at and somebody burnt him over the top. That's going to be the major things. Obviously, there's a lot of talent there, but the coaching changes is something that I'm going to be very interested to see how that plays out in the spring.
Great stuff, as always, from Jonah Booker. Thank you very much, JBook. You can catch him on Twitter, of course, at JBook37. If you're not on Twitter, then get on Twitter and follow him. If you're on Twitter and you're not following him, what are you doing? At JBook37. Appreciate it, JBook, and thanks to our listeners out there for tuning in to the show. I appreciate that as well. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. Let's try the Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.